All right.
Yeah.
So give a. Oh wait, I gotta do the double screen here. There we go. Give a warm
What
welcome to
up, though?
TViz TV in the building.
What up, though? What up, though? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Awesome.
I love your
I
microphone.
appreciate you inviting me up. This is a wild situation right here. So this is
Wild.
crazy.
Wild. So we're
This
almost
is
to this.
absolutely crazy.
Let's play this a little bit more, but I'm so glad you got here. I'm so glad you're here.
No doubt. I appreciate it.
Home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me.
Now, I think this is really important to talk about, and we're gonna see this when we look at the article, because the article contains some statements from Tony Busby. But this was something that NBC put out at 7:30 p.m. The article was published at 7:20 p.m. Eastern on a Friday night, which I think is kind of like bury the lead, low story volume. If we didn't have this video interview, I don't think this story would be going viral the way it is. But it seems like NBC interviewed her in person at some point before the last couple days, and then gave her a phone call today because they've been looking at her story ever since they sat with her. And now they're calling her up like, hold on, do you want to comment on this? Because after you told us this when you sat down with us, we went and did some research, and now we're calling you to see what you have to say about it. So I don't know when this interview is actually recorded, but I think that's really interesting to hear.
Yeah.
So let's see how she responds.
The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false. The accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, said, because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress. In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, this incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
Yeah, I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of being chastised by their fans.
The cameraman is crazy for zooming in on her hand, or camera person. Did you see that? The camera person's like, oh man.
Like he's showing the forearm part just to give you an idea of what she might look like now. This is kind of weird, man.
All right, Chloe Malas joining us now live. Chloe, we just heard a very strongly worded statement from Jay-Z. What else are you hearing from him and his team?
And we'll look at that.
So his attorney said that they're going to ask the court to, quote, dismiss this frivolous case. And also moments ago, we heard from Diddy's legal team, and I want to read you some of what they said. They said, quote, this is the beginning of the end of this shameful money grab. And remember, he remains behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, and his criminal trial begins in May.
All right, very thorough reporting there. Chloe, thank you so much for that.
All right. So again, let me pause all this. This is getting funky. Initial reaction. We're going to look at some statements from both sides. We're going to look at the letter that Spiro wrote to the court. But what? Give me your 411. Give me your rundown, Tavis.
First of all, there was a video that I dropped on my channel about this mystery celebrity.
Okay, we're going to have to link that to the chat. So while you give your rundown, I will link it.
The mystery celebrity said the same things that Jay's saying about it being an extortion scheme. It was the exact same wording. So now it makes me believe that this mysterious celebrity was Jay-Z the whole time. Because what other celebrity outside of Jay-Z could you really link with Diddy that has the cachet of a viral story like this? It
I
would
don't know.
it can
And
only be
what's
Jay-Z.
crazy, wouldn't you want to vet something that you're bringing against someone that would have a powerful fight against you? I mean, did you think that
Absolutely.
Jay-Z was just going to lay his hands down? And I mean, in all seriousness, Diddy's not laying his hands down, and I think there's a lot of smoke and fire there behind what Diddy's being accused of,
Oh,
right?
for
Innocent
sure.
until proven guilty or whatever, but believe all victims, try to, let them tell their stories, be open to hearing it. At the end of the day, you gotta listen to the facts of the case. You gotta let certain things play out in court. But Tony Busby, what is he thinking that he could just go behind closed doors with these heinous allegations and expect someone powerful, right?
Right.
I know there's a part of a conversation where powerful people can silence people, but at the same time, powerful people are the ones that can fight back when powerless people cannot.
Absolutely. And Jay-Z money is way long. It's around the globe long. So there's no way he can afford all kind of legal representation. The best of the best, right? I mean, the Avengers of lawyers he can definitely get. So this is small cheese for Jay. But again, it went too far. It went way too far. And then Busby having the reputation that he has to be a sleazeball, honestly, doesn't help at all. And this was like Busby, like, okay, this is the last piece of what I need to do in order to get some type of I would say reprimand on this, because there is no other. Just doing a civil lawsuit was not going to cut it with Jay. 24 years ago, you're 13 years old, you're at the VMAs, you get dropped off there. Then you get into a limo and you don't know who it is at first. It was just a limo driver. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it was Diddy's limo driver.
And did you wait at a gas station 5-6 hours for your dad to find you?
And your
Like
dad
maybe you
remember?
were in Rochester, but your dad lived nearby the city. Some people, their parents don't live where another parent or guardian lives. So maybe that was the explanation there. But there wasn't clarification. It wasn't like,
No
I went
clarification.
to a gas station and called my dad because he lives in Manhattan.
And the dad is like, well, I can't really recall this. This is something I would remember. And you're not having a conversation first of all, my 13-year-old daughter's at a gas station calling me from a payphone. There's a lot of questions I would have as a father. And I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of questions about me as a father to allow my 13-year-old girl to be at a gas station calling me on a payphone at night. Stop
And
it.
it could be, one explanation could be, it could be a careless father as an individual. Maybe whoever her father is just is like a careless person, didn't care to notice or ask. And he's just like, whatever, right? So there is a possible explanation for that. But
Right.
it's one of those things where if we have to keep adding up a way to excuse the inconsistencies, how is this an appropriate way to allow somebody to like bring heinous accusations against somebody?
Exactly.
And we have to excuse the inconsistencies. I can excuse a couple. I can excuse somebody not remembering everything from 20 years ago. Especially not exactly, especially if drugs were involved. But it's just, it's a lot here.
This is a lot.
So
This is a lot.
is like, this is out the door for me.
This is way left. This is the conjuring of stories upon stories. Like this is even the way the story is being told, it still doesn't make sense. It's still a lot of more questions and answers in this story, in this whole accusation. So to me personally, my even when I first found out about this, my initial reaction was like, what? 13-year-old at the VMAs getting dropped off. That right there alone was enough for me to ask a bunch of questions. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then you give details about speaking with somebody that isn't there.
Right.
And I don't, again, like maybe this trip to New York City to the VMAs happened and some creepo pulled up and said, I'm Diddy's limo driver. Right? Like something could have happened.
Right.
But I don't understand how, as a law firm, Tony Busby couldn't get these basic details, couldn't verify, couldn't do any vetting, couldn't have called up
Anything.
the Maddens, Good Charlotte, and said,
So he's not.
Were you at this VMA party?
Exactly.
So
he's not
them.
efficient. He's not efficient at all with this whole thing. It's
Well,
almost like, as long as you say the name Diddy, and as long as you have the victimization of Diddy, the story to go with it, and you can piece it together, and it's similar to what other victims have said, then we're going to go ahead and file civil lawsuit after civil lawsuit about this, and bring no actual crimes and bring no actual accusation of that magnitude to it. You know what I'm saying? Again,
Right.
so it's almost like an opportunist type of thing, opposed to actually doing this for justice. Like he said in his press conference, we got 120 lawsuits, man.
Yeah,
120
because they're
victims or
not
whatever.
class action, they're
Right.
individuals. Which would
Exactly.
be separate
Exactly.
court dates, separate preparation, separate details for everything. And I was
Exactly.
watching Boss Attorney Bree. She did a live stream yesterday a little bit, and she made a point that really, like, I know I'm skeptical of Tony Busby.
Mm-hmm.
You know that from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she made the point. She looked at his firm. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't a ton of staff on his firm. So
Right.
what's his capacity for bringing on 100 cases that you're going to have to pursue separately? What
Right.
do you expect your
Right.
workload to be? You were probably expecting settlements.
Exactly.
Because how else would
Absolutely.
your firm
100%.
take that on from a logistical standpoint?
100%.
So,
The
and
Cassie
it's
settlement made everyone think it was like ATM day. Like it's
like
time to
overnight.
cash overnight. It's time for us to get our money too, because we've been
And I
hurting.
believe that. I didn't need
Yeah.
a video to believe that.
Yeah,
I didn't need a
exactly.
video
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
what it's worth.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
just crazy because there could be people with like, wow, something happened to me also. I
Mhm.
see this person on TV. I see Tony Busby on TV doing this press statement, this press
Mhm.
conference. Maybe he
Mhm.
can help because this has still been on my shoulders. I never got justice. Let me call them up. And now, if that person has been retained, or I don't know if it'd be contingency, if it's like personal injury, or what the
Mhm.
pay fee would be.
Mhm.
But you put your story in an attorney's hands like this, who now
Mhm.
has egg on their face, who has a whole
Exactly.
baker's dozen of egg on their face. And their
Exactly.
story could be completely true.
Absolutely. Yep. And then
Like, that
NBC, for
sucks.
NBC to do this, to have a story like this that is so loophole-ish, for NBC to rock this story out like it's like real concrete evidence and news, to me is like really is very skeptical. You know what I'm saying? I'm very skeptical of that, because this is not efficient like news work to me. This is like they don't give her identity and they blurred her hands out. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell from the way she talks that she may not be the brightest bulb at Lowe's, and they can placate on that. They can play on that, you know, and that's the part that's like sad, is because it's like you, again, this is one of those things I talk about on my channel. Like I want to believe you. I want to believe you so bad, but it is too many red flags in your story for me to believe it, especially believe it in the way that you're saying it. Because you could be, if you have ever been in a traumatic situation, you can remember everything to the nines, to the T. You're not going to forget no detail. If
I
you've
think
ever
so
been
in
through,
some cases, but I
no,
do
I'm talking about if
believe
you,
that
I'm saying if you've been,
that drug
okay,
woozy detail was put in there for a reason, and there's an
right.
extra layer of Tony Busby skepticism here for me, because we have a filing, we have an affidavit from the Quinn Emanuel law firm, from someone that works
Mhm.
alongside Alex Spiro, saying that a former client of Tony Busby called up their firm and said, look, I want to tell you my story, my experience of working with this law firm, the Busby law firm. I went
Right.
in there. I had a separate claim of trafficking that, I wasn't a victim of Jay-Z or Carter. And
Mhm.
the firm wanted me to loop them into it anyway. In addition, they wanted me to loop in certain details, things that happened that didn't actually happen to me. They wanted me to
Mhm.
weave certain details in there. And now it's like, well, what are those details? If we're adding in these elements of, being coached to say that you think that you were drugged just so it can explain why you don't remember something. Now you're taking something that's a very valid and real experience for victims,
Uh-huh.
and you're co-opting it just to pad up a case.
Right.
And that's so unethical.
Right. Absolutely. I'm thinking about this. I had a drink, I got woozy, and I passed out. But I also know that he put his hands over my mouth at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Like a person who's a lawyer will take that little bitty detail and nitpick that boy to the death because that doesn't make sense. And it's all about what you can prove in court, not about what you think, feel, or whatever. What can you prove in court? And that would be another mishap, mistake, or misspeak on the part of the victim. And then you have a lawyer who's coaching you into this type of misspeak, which is incredible in the negative sense. You know what I'm saying? So this is not good, man. This is not good, especially. And then you have people who really been through something, something where they could say, hey, I've been woozy before and I felt something different when I woke up. You know, I felt my body different or something like that. I mean, I've heard women tell me stories personally about their experiences with this particular type of topic. And they only could remember what happened, what was going on with them after the fact, because during it, they was out of it, completely out of it. But they know something happened to them, and they can bring evidence to that from their own physical body.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's always going to be evidence, but when there's details volunteered that can be proven or disproven, they can be corroborated, and then somebody doesn't do any vetting. And then when someone says, hey, this isn't the case. And I've seen something that's been bothering me over the last 4 or 5 days is everyone saying, well, why didn't Jay-Z just deny it? I don't understand that talking point, because if you go to the filings, if you go to the documents and do a search in the document for the word false or untrue, dozens and dozens of times it said, these are completely false. This is completely untrue. So for anyone with this talking point, I don't know if you've seen somebody else say, why didn't Sean Carter ever deny it? You didn't read the documents, because it's repeated over and over in the documents. So sometimes you got to take, when you see someone's take online, you can't just buy it at face value, because it's been denied over and over by Carter and his team. Even within one document, just flat out completely denied across the board.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, speaking of words, here's what, and this is Sean Carter, but it's posted to the Rock Nation Instagram. Let me pull this up for you guys and make sure I keep Tay-Biz on the screen. Today's investigative report proves this, quote, attorney Busby filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. And I would say also on X. The true justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon.
You can't play chess with a chess master, man. I'm telling you, Jay is a chess master. And he's shrewd too, on top of that. So Busby has no idea what he's in for. He has no idea. This is crazy. Again, this is the due diligence that is supposed to be coming from lawyers, you know what I'm saying, to uphold the law or uphold the, for justice. And this is the problem. They want to retain you for thousands of dollars, but they don't want to give you what it takes to really win this case in a way for justice. It's all about the money, like you said before, Kat. This is all about getting a settlement. I will line up as many victims as I need to get that one victim that can get me the settlement that I need, and then boom, I hit my jackpot. I hit what it is that I wanted to hit. You know what I'm saying? So this seems like all. And then the information you gave me the other day about Busby with that contingency fee issue. Oh my God. I'm like, dude, this is really making him look worse.
Yep. I think so
Not
too.
good.
And also, Caitlin Connor, if you would like a link to come up and share, I've seen a lot of your conversations in the chat. I do think everybody has a bias, and everybody should reserve the right to change their mind with new information. But I also saw Caitlin say earlier that this is why people don't believe victims. I only like to talk about circumstances where there is false accusations, right? I'm not just talking about these stories because there's an accusation. I don't really like to talk about stories like this. So, Caitlin, I think it's really unfair, some of your viewpoints, at least how it seems like you might be characterizing me. But you're welcome to come up here and talk about it if you'd like to. So let me know. I'll drop a link for you to come up. But let's see. Other than that, I know there was in this article with this video, this interview, I know a lot of it just summarizes what was in the video. When I first saw the article, the video wasn't here. So I think they went back and added it. But later down, let's see. We get more from Busby here, and I think just underscoring this. Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. He told NBC News in an email, "Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she stated was true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists." Like, to me, like, reading this again, this is just a little late to be saying this.
Right.
And
Thank
you're
you.
saying this when there's an open extortion lawsuit against you. I don't know why, in anyone's representation here, I don't know why Busby would write this in an email when there's an open extortion lawsuit against him. This does not seem like a helpful thing to say in a written document, written correspondence.
Tell me you don't vet your client by saying this. This is basically what you let me know, like you don't vet your clients. You know what I'm saying? And again, just to go back to the bias comment that you made, because you said it very eloquently. You got to understand, when you accusing somebody of something, that is a serious accusation to put on someone. Okay, whether you're a male or a female. Before you start saying somebody did something and pointing the finger and saying whatever, you got to remember that these are accusations that can hurt someone's reputation. It can hurt someone's family. You know what I'm saying? It goes way beyond just, oh, this man got accused of this, so that's it. They just believe that. Like, nah, man. Like, that's a lot of people that have been accused of things and they have not done anything. There's no evidence of them doing it. You know what I'm saying? But their reputation is already bad. Just like what your girl Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp, right? She put out an op-ed about surviving domestic violence, and come to find out she was the one being violent towards him. She threw a vodka bottle at the man's hand and cut his finger off.
Yeah, plus a prior experience with a different partner too. So it's like, you know, and part of that is on one side, there's a gender bias where people might not like to believe women, right? That's an issue that we have. But there's also a gender bias in, you know, if someone hears that there was violence in a relationship, the expectation is it's going to be male to female, almost to the point where it's almost unfathomable to assume otherwise, to think it could be possible otherwise. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, it's an asymmetrical situation. Yeah, for sure.
So, I think, did I finish reading this? Oh yeah, in any event, he added, "We always do our best." What is your best to vet each claim made? Just as we did in this case. So now you're saying you did. We do our best just as we did. But you just said we're going to continue to vet.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are you writing this in an email? Why are you writing this in an email? This has been extremely distressing for her, and I believe it, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress. I believe this is extremely distressing. Again, she really could have gone through something and could be just misidentifying the situation. And like, to me, Tony Busby might be trying to give weight to her being distressed as if it adds to the veracity and accuracy of her claims against Jay-Z specifically, rather than realizing, hey, my client is just in distress right now. Maybe I need to take a breather and do right by my client.
Right, exactly. Because again, these are strong accusations. So at least, so you have to do your due diligence for your client in this situation for sure. You know, I see some people in the comments talking about Jay being rumored to mess with minors for years. That's true. That I've heard that too. You know, I'm an 80s baby, so I've heard that too with Jay-Z and R. Kelly and all this kind of stuff. You know, and messing with minors and things of that nature, allegedly or not allegedly. Some people actually have proof, especially people that's in the industry. But again, just because this is the thing, it's like you're guilty. Once you become guilty of one thing, then now you're guilty of everything. And that may not always be the case, because you could be guilty of one thing here, but not guilty of this. Like This right here, if you believe this lady, then that's your choice to believe that. That's fine. But he may not have done
Agreed.
this. Now, he could have done something else. Absolutely. And whoever can bring evidence to that and justice
Right.
to that, do that. But that don't mean he did this. So we
Right.
gotta compartmentalize some things at times.
And there should also be a, just because, there's always that means to an end. Like at what point does the means justify the end?
Right.
And I think that's, some people, there's so much happening against Diddy where they're kind of like, I'm not going to go one by one and look through the veracity of it because we've already seen him on a video doing XYZ. So throwing my hands up in the air.
Right.
But
Right.
when you put it into a broader perspective of means to an end, should we believe everybody even when it's not credible and or there's no proof? Those are two different situations, right?
Exactly.
Not having enough proof but not being able to discredit is a different scenario than you're offering things up that can be discredited, right?
Right.
Should we just let that fly? And to me, that's not okay.
Right.
It's not okay. So I don't know if this is a new video. It says 3 minutes.
I think
we're going to read the Spiro letter. We'll play it for a clip, but let's get this little quote here from Spiro. We do have the letter to the court that we can look at as well. But before we toggle over, but Carter's attorney, Alex Spiro, said, "It is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, but would make things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Busby and all the lawyers that filed the complaint." So we are coming. We are coming.
Man.
So
no joke on this one. This is crazy. Definitely crazy.
I don't know. Is this just quoting? Okay, so they give us a time frame here. NBC News traveled to Houston to interview the woman who declined to be identified at her attorney's office earlier this week. So we know that they sent the email today, it seemed like they said Friday, to follow up before they published this interview, this exclusive. But some point earlier this week is when they recorded the video that we watched. She's now 38. Still, she was living. Okay, they're just recounting it. I don't think there's anything new in here. This is all just from this interview clip that we saw.
Yeah.
Is this new? I think this is new. All right.
That's really depressed.
I was upset. The person at the gas station could tell that I was visibly upset, and she let me use the phone. I called my dad because he was the only person I trusted at that time. I told him I messed up and I needed a ride home. She told NBC News. We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was. She told NBC News she never told anyone about the alleged assault or wrote it down in a diary, which that's something that can be very true. Even if somebody found out, who was going to believe me? I mean, it was to the word of two celebrities against mine, she said. Again, that at face value, valid. The years after were hard. I got severely depressed. I withdrew completely. My grades started slipping. She dropped out of school. She experienced homelessness, she said, and at one point suffered a head injury. Hold on, wait. So I thought when we were watching that interview that she was referring to having the head injury during the ordeal, the incident itself. That's how I took it in the interview.
Yeah, that's the way I took it as well.
So,
She's saying it happened later. She suffered a head injury. Then her and her father also said she was sexually assaulted later in life.
Yeah, later in life.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot here for some of the distress that we're seeing. Even if she's talking about something with not an accurate memory, but she could be reliving this other incident as well while she's saying it, and that could be the cause of some of her physical distress that Tony Busby's referring to.
Yeah.
She now has
I would
two
love
children.
to talk to the parents.
I would love to be a fly on the wall.
I would love to have a
Busby's law
conversation with them
firm.
parents. Oh, for sure, absolutely. Like all of them together. Oh my god.
Like super attorney-client privilege there, but just imagine being a fly on the wall to see this consultation with the law firm.
I would definitely have my notepad ready, like
hold on. And this is, okay, so she says now she has 2 children, a son and a daughter. She served less than a year in the Army National Guard and left with the rank of private. She got her high school diploma and got my Christian counseling certification so that I can help people who've gone through what I've gone through, which that's admirable. She also said she has her applied behavioral analysis certification so she can help people with autism, which she says that she has. There are so little resources to moms that don't have the proper amount of income. Again, valid. This part, I think, valid. Reaction was swift in the days since the woman went public with her allegations against Carter. The rapper released a statement calling the claims idiotic and heinous in nature and sharply criticizing her attorney. There are some inconsistencies about her story. Again, I think
the father drove 5 hours. The father drove 5
That's
hours.
their next line here.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, and they're confirming here. So the father was not just living in Manhattan. So I mentioned earlier, maybe he lived different. He didn't live in Rochester. He lived closer. No, NBC is saying, according to their address at the time, her father would have had to have driven more than 5 hours. So it seems like he lived in or near Rochester as well and had to drive all the way down there. And was she at the gas station the whole time?
For 5 hours?
This is way different to me, like, because I didn't know what to think. It could have been possible he lived 20, 30 minutes away. But here, now it really, you feel like you would remember your daughter calling you. You're in Rochester, New York, and you got to go all the way down to Manhattan. That's...
I remember.
I walked back from saying Dad didn't realize something was weird about it.
I remember a time where I dropped somebody off at the airport, let alone a 5-hour trip. Come on now. That's something to remember for sure. But the father never said none of this was true or not. He just said he doesn't remember that happening. He doesn't remember driving 5 hours away to pick up his daughter or anything. He don't remember that at all.
But this is someone questioning you about your daughter. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know
how I would, maybe not even to protect, but you might have, as soon as someone asks you something like that, without even realizing it, you might just completely doubt the question or think it's a bad faith question.
Right.
So you might be like, well, I don't remember anything like that, but I could just be forgetting. Right. I think that can be human nature at times. And again, this seems to have been a pretty condensed, like over the last week, they put this together. Yeah. So I don't know if he had time to think about it before he responded or if they asked him twice. Yeah. So I can picture a parent being like, kind of like a not my child type of reaction without having any time to think about it. Rather than intentionally trying to deny something.
Right. I think I saw some in the comments too about the fact that it's a 5-hour trip there and back. So that's actually 10 hours of driving a little bit over, you know what I'm saying? And not saying anything in the truck or car, or not saying, hey, where were you at or what's going on? And nothing. That's kind of, again, that's another thing that you have to put a finger on, because again, just because you're saying somebody did something, you still got to prove that they did it. And the way the industry is, it's so corrupt anyway. You got to make sure you're on your dot every I, cross every T mode. Like, you have to be on that because they have the financial backing to protect their artists. Jay-Z has financial backing to do damage to you if you try to do damage to him. Like, he can afford things that you can't afford. So you better come with the heat if you're going to come at somebody, especially in the industry. Yeah. Like how they did Diddy. They had an accumulation of evidence for years, and then they had confirmation of the evidence when they raided his house and got those videos and all that kind of stuff. And the federal case is now here. And now May 5th is it that he goes on trial? Is it May 5th? I know it's in May. I think it's either May 5th or something like that.
I was saying, if it's May 5th, that probably won't stick. There's so much that something can change between then and now.
Exactly. But I think it's in May when the trial starts. And so, they're going to go at him with the evidence that they accumulated. But you got to accumulate evidence, man. So
I like this. Shayna says it's possible that Jay-Z bought and paid for an accuser to accuse and then proceed to make the story uncredible in order to make future victims, I think this was be victims, not credible.
Yeah, not
Right?
credible.
And right, you might think like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, but I mean, it doesn't take that much to think of something like that, to play like a
Right.
3D chess. Like, it's
Right.
not that far removed.
Yeah,
So
it's not a
you never
theory.
know,
There's possibility involved. Yeah, it's not a theory when possibility involved. So, if it's possible, then it's not a theory. It can actually happen.
And shout out to Ripper Jack also. Yeah, I'm bad with, I always say Spiro instead of Spyro, and I should know better. So thank you. That's my bad all the way. Also here, I have it on the screen. The chat that's looking at the screen has probably read it. But the woman's father, who said he learned of the alleged assault this week, added that he did remember once picking her up in the middle of the night, but he said it was a local drive.
Oh wow. Okay.
So,
Oh,
and then
wow.
the follow-up, asked about her father's account in a follow-up interview on Friday. The woman said she stood by her claim that he had picked her up and that it's possible he'd misremembered, which I guess could be. There are a lot of things, and this is stuff that we argue about constantly. Something he said or did back in New York around that time period, he just doesn't remember, she said. It actually causes a lot of fights sometimes in the household. So maybe she's saying this generally, and this is stuff, like she's saying generally, that we argue about constantly. But something he said or did back in New York, is this meaning New York City? Because they live in Houston now, it seems like, together. But at the same time, she said that she never spoke about this incident to anybody. So maybe this is just a general statement here and not saying we talked about this stuff.
Right.
Regarding her father's recollections, Busby told, this is from Busby, told NBC News, we agree he states he doesn't remember. His daughter explains that he was in no state to remember drive during that point in time due to personal issues he was having then. We were talking about a time frame more than 20 years ago. So this is an okay save, I think, by Busby, but it doesn't explain like the other details.
It doesn't.
So
I don't know if I can say this is a save, Kat. I don't know. This is way too vague for me. What personal issues did he have that caused him not to be able to remember that he picked his daughter up 5 hours away and back? You know what I mean? Like, it's vague. I'm not sure if it's an I guess. It's a question mark. It's an asterisk.
I mean, but the thing is, in a civil courtroom, again, it would come down to the jury pool, but the standard, you don't need to be like 99% sure to the civil standard.
Yeah.
So, the woman also told NBC News she spoke with musician Benji Madden at the after party, but a representative, we heard this in the interview, confirmed that neither Benji nor his brother Joel attended the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. The woman did not accuse the brothers of any wrongdoing. Got to get that in there. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me and the route that I took to what happened to me. Not all of the faces there are as clear, the woman said in the Friday follow-up interview. So I've made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying. Now, in identifying whom? Because this is a gold mine. If this continues to go to trial, this right here is a gold mine. And it's quoted in press here. This is a gold mine for Spyro, for Alex Spyro. So I may have made a mistake in identifying. The woman also could not provide further information about the after party she said she attended. Professional images reviewed by NBC News shows Combs and Carter were among the celebrities who attended a VMA's after party at the Lotus nightclub in New York City. It is not clear what time those images were taken or if Combs and Carter attended any other after parties. The building that housed Lotus, now closed, does not match the description of the house the woman described in the lawsuit and interview. I didn't know exactly where we were going or how long it even took. The woman said when asked Tuesday, so maybe Tuesday was this in-person interview, where she thought she was taken that night, she added that she had guessed about the length of time the trip had taken in the lawsuit. Busby said, we've attempted to confirm the correct location. We have never suggested the location was the Lotus nightclub. Our client has been very specific and detailed about the description of the venue she says she was taken to, and she never stated that it was the Lotus Club. He added, "We won't speculate on whether there was an after party, because again, she doesn't know that. Also, among the woman's allegations that could not be corroborated is how she made it to New York City that night. One of her attorneys provided NBC News with the name and birth date of the friend she said drove her, who would have been 20 at the time. That person appears to have since died. And NBC News attempts to reach the person's relatives were unsuccessful." So that's the end of this NBC exclusive. Maybe there's more. There might be a little bit more there. And then we go on to what the law firm does with
Here
this
we go.
information.
Here we go.
Crazy. And actually, I like to do the print view so it doesn't do these little pop-up things while we're reading and scrolling. So we'll switch over to this view, make it a little bigger. And today, got this hot off the presses.
Hot off the press.
This judge has a mess on her desk.
Like, real. Seriously.
So, dear Honorable Judge Torres, we write to the court on behalf of our client Sean Carter on a matter of extraordinary and grave importance for the integrity of the proceedings in the above captioned case. Today at 7:27 p.m. Eastern, NBC News reported on an interview that its reporters conducted with an anonymous plaintiff in this case, and they linked to the article that we were just reading. The interview outs plaintiff's allegations for what they are, a sham. Basic facts in her narrative, the who, what, when, and where, are wrong. She claims her father picked her up after the assault. Her own father denies that ever happened. She claims she spoke with Benji Madden at the party that night, but he was on tour in the Midwest at that time, forcing her to admit, quote, here's the quote right here. I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying. This is a defense attorney's dream statement. She claims the assault took place at an after party at Mr. Combs' home, but photos that night show Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter. Didn't Busby just say she didn't identify the exact place? She just didn't say it was Lotus?
Right.
Okay. But photos that night show Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter at Lotus nightclub for the after party. When pressed, the plaintiff admitted she was guessing about key details, including the time it took to reach the venue. She admits she has no single corroborating witness over the last 24 years. And yeah, this is important because it's a lack of evidence, but at the same time, this isn't really exculpatory, right? To not have another witness.
Right.
These stunning revelations make clear that the complaint filed by plaintiff's attorneys, Anthony Busby, therefore had no factual basis whatsoever. Even Mr. Busby is walking back the complaint he put his name to, excusing these glaring inconsistencies by pointing the finger at the case being referred by another firm who allegedly vetted the story before sending it to them.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? They already attacking the integrity of this entire vetting process that Busby claims that he's done, but he really hasn't done the efficient vetting.
I have a question too. In the video, because in what I've looked at, it seemed like she was really saying, maybe people were saying Diddy was present, Diddy may have been around doing something suspect, but the focus for her has been Carter in a lot of these, which is a little bit of mention, and maybe I'm just getting confused with the way Busby's been focusing on Spyro.
Right.
But it's in a way, it's I don't know, Diddy's in the picture and then he's not, but then he was part of it and then he's not such a big focus
allegedly
anymore.
He was there and another unnamed woman was watching. She never specified that Diddy did anything exactly. Her thing was that Jay was doing something to her. That's what she's alleging. But she also is alleging the fact that Diddy was in the room with an unnamed woman watching Jay do a sexual assault act on her.
Now, can you remind me, did she say in that filing that when Jay was done, then he took his turn? That Diddy then took his turn?
I don't know. She said that Diddy was watching, not taking a turn. I don't remember her saying that.
Okay, because it's just weird to me in that interview, and I'm going to I can go and read those filings again. I mean, I did speed read through a lot of it.
She said, they saying Diddy was there. They saying that Diddy was first, then Jay. So it's
Okay.
possible. Okay, that makes okay.
Yeah, because in this video interview, she kind of just says them both, right? She just groups it together. It was a quick statement here in the interview.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Thank you,
Gotcha.
chat. Thank you,
Thank you.
chat.
Thank you.
And I think I was below here, right? Okay, I have it highlighted.
It's such an odor of mendacity in this story, man.
And again, like if the Jane Doe believes what she believes what she believes. But what is Busby doing? So,
Right.
the heinous allegations against Mr. Carter are patently false. The complaint filed by plaintiff's attorneys Anthony Busby had no factual basis, therefore had no factual basis whatsoever. And we're getting this line again. The heinous allegations against Mr. Carter are patently false. So here's for the people that swear they never said it wasn't true. In light of those developments, it is now clear that Mr. Busby signed the complaints and other filings in this case in violation of Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 11. Under that rule, an attorney who signs a document assumes, quote, an affirmative duty to conduct a reasonable inquiry into the facts and the law before filing. And I'm telling you, this email Busby sent to NBC was stupid on his part. Stupid.
Yeah.
They cite here Business Guides, Inc. versus Chromatic. What is this short for? Something Enterprise. The attorney's signature denotes merit in the filing and sends a message to the district court that this document is to be taken seriously. And that's New Alliance Party versus FBI. Plaintiffs may not file a complaint in this court without having made a reasonable investigation of the facts. And in that statement, after we get through this, we're going to look at it again. But what I remember Busby and what's quoted in his email is somebody else vetted and sent it to us and will continue to vet.
Exactly. Exactly.
We skip the in-between where we get it and we do the vetting.
Exactly.
In addition, and it's such a stupid move to send that in writing to a news station.
It is. Because you could run with that.
Whew. And like you'd want to be saying your best at that moment.
Right.
You'd want to, if anything, you'd want to be hyperbolic. Put yourself in the best light in that email, and the best you're giving
all the hyperbole is welcomed at that point. He missed an opportunity. He missed a shot. He wasn't Steph on that one. He missed a shot. He bricked that one. Yeah, he bricked that.
Yeah, that was an oops.
Yeah, that was an oops.
In addition, attorneys who learn after filing a complaint that the factual assertions are false must immediately withdraw the claims. And this is City of Yonkers versus Otis Elevator Circle. ABA Model Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 3.1. This is the American Bar Association, you guys. A lawyer shall not bring or defend a proceeding or assert or controvert an issue therein unless there is a basis in law and fact for doing so that is not frivolous. That's PharmaConnect LLC versus Mission Pharmacal. Imposing Rule 11 sanctions for amended complaint that repeated allegations that lacked evidentiary support. Spyro's like, here's the history. Here's stuff right from the Southern District of New York. Here's the Bar Association Rules of Professional Conduct. Here's like 30 things saying that you should know better.
Right.
Given today's revelations, Mr. Busby almost certainly failed to undertake a reasonable inquiry into the facts before filing the complaint. He should never have brought the claims. He says, see Fox v. Boucher, affirming sanctions underwear, plaintiff's complaint was entirely frivolous and was made as part of a conscious effort to harass the defendant. At minimum, he should withdraw them now. Allowing these claims to remain pending even a moment longer not only harms Mr. Carter, his family, his businesses, his employees, and his legacy, it also impairs the integrity of the judicial system, thwarts the pursuit of justice, and silences the voice of true victims. That part. Furthermore, it appears that Mr. Busby has attempted to circumvent the authority of this court to enforce Rule 11 and associated obligations by declining to seek admission to this court before signing pleadings and other documents. He didn't do an ad hoc vice?
Wow.
I mean, pro hoc vice? What? So, listen, there are people that have said, oh, he's got this. He's an experienced attorney, and that might be true. Right? I'm not denying that. He's a successful attorney, and that might be true. He's won big cases. That might be true. But being successful or doing a lot of something doesn't mean you always dot your I's and cross your T's.
There you
so
go.
you didn't vet your claimant. You didn't vet your client.
No.
And you're doing all this to the court and then complaining on X that Jay-Z isn't handling things through the courts.
Mm.
But you don't even submit your pro hoc vice admission to the court. What?
Oh, man.
What? And this is funny, guys, because the reason Alex Spiro is probably honing in on this is attorney Mark Bankston. This is a separate case. This is the Elon Musk, the Ben Brody versus Elon Musk defamation case. That's where he misidentified somebody that was at a protest, said it was this guy Ben Brody when it wasn't Ben Brody. Alex Spiro is representing Elon Musk in that. Mark Bankston is representing Ben Brody, the plaintiff. And they had a fiery back and forth deposition. One of the probably craziest depositions you'll read. Elon Musk barely talks. It's the attorneys going back and forth the whole time.
Right.
But Mark Bankston filed for sanctions against Alex Spiro after all of that for multiple reasons, but hammered out, this case. Elon Musk resides in Texas. The case was brought against him, Texas. Alex Spiro lives in New York, and he was supposed to submit his pro hoc vice application to be admitted to represent Spiro with 2 local attorneys. And he didn't do so. So Mark Bankston has called Spiro out. So it seems like Spiro's like, hold on, wait, I know all about this. So now I'm going to throw
this now. Yeah, exactly.
throw the egg the other way.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Man.
He was saving
my
that
gosh. My goodness.
That was his back pocket. That was his back pocket throw at him right there. For sure.
He's like, I got to get somebody else with this thing that got me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, shout out to attorneys like sparring, like it'd be ridiculous sometimes. Yet in the nearly 8 weeks since he initiated this proceeding, Mr. Busby has filed a complaint in this matter that was signed solely by him. Using the signature, signed the amended complaint alongside other counsel, which that's in parentheses there, that added Mr. Carter as a defendant, and noticed a motion for the plaintiff to proceed anonymously accompanied by a supporting brief and a declaration, once again only signed by him. Most recently, on December 10th, 2024, Mr. Busby filed a letter which he also signed alone. Now, this again, would you say that this is okay for somebody that's, you pull up his record, he's got 40 pages of cases on Pacer, but then you're submitting multiple filings? And maybe Spiro's wrong about this, but this is a pretty big thing to say. Yeah. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe he's mistaken. Maybe he missed it. But if he didn't, how do you miss this? Because the explanation to me is you were focused on making something public record, getting the words out there without really considering making sure your means to that end had the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
There you go.
Mr. Busby's failure. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Remember, have you seen the documentary on Netflix about the Jenny Jones case? Remember back in the day, there was a young man that came on Jenny Jones, and it was like they had like Jenny Jones back then was doing those secret admirer stuff, and it was this one guy who came on the show, and it was his neighbor who liked him. They were the same sex. And the guy, he thought the girl liked him, but it was really the guy. He was on the show, and that guy murdered his friend. His guy murdered the man.
What?
Yeah, and what's the attorney, man? Dang, dude. He's from Michigan. And he's a big name attorney in Michigan. Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. The chat know what I'm talking about. Jenny Jones case was just wild. And he said something about that lawyers like it when you have a story to tell. It's all about the story. When you get into the court, when you actually present your case, you present it like a story. And it seems like Busby took that concept and just did a roadrunner with this, because the story part is all he's focused on.
Well, and people don't like holes in the plot. Like, we don't like the plot to not make sense. We don't want to. How did we get from this? Like
Jeffrey Feiger. Yep. Sorry.
Nobody likes a story that is missing key components.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's skilled at getting the story tight. You know what I'm saying? Again, he's not even vetting his clients or re-vetting after he get a client from someone else. He's not even doing his own due diligence. He's just going off what the representation of the client before said, and then he's taking that information and he's just adding to whatever. He's just putting sauce on whatever they already had. He's not really cooking up his own meal on this one. So yeah, it seemed like a lazy take that he's doing, lazy approach.
Well, and that might be, if maybe his avenue, his specialty is like an actual class action suit, like the BP oil spill stuff, that's a different.
Yeah.
I get that you do tell stories somewhat when you bring a case like that. You do have to lay out the order of events and you do want to say like, this is how it's impacted people.
Right.
But at the same time, you're finding like the liability in the law and making that argument for, the negligence or whatever angle you're taking. So that could be where he really, really shines. Right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, where was your vetting? Where was your vetting?
Where is it exactly?
So we were at this Pro Hoc Vice thing because I started screaming about it. So I think we were right here.
We're at the bottom. We had Mr. Busby's failure to obtain admission. That's where you.
This paragraph. Okay. Yep. Mr. Busby's failure to obtain admission to the bar of this court is a transparent attempt to circumvent the basic requirements of Rule 11 and the rules of professional conduct. Admission subjects an attorney to the jurisdiction of the court and to sanctions for signing pleadings that are not grounded in the facts and the law. So they're citing here Man Wei Shu versus New Peking Taste. Declining to refer attorney to the disciplinary committee of the district. I hate when the footnotes continue to the next page. For her inflammatory and extremely disturbing conduct because she is not admitted in this district and she has not entered an appearance in this case. Oh, what? So they can't sanction someone because they're not actually... What? Wow. That's crazy. So maybe it was not just a mistake, but intentional is what I think Spiro's hinting at with this footnote.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So the rest of that footnote says, because plaintiff's counsel has not been admitted to practice before this court, the Southern District of New York, the instant motion is not properly before this court and therefore should be denied. Wow.
You mean a miscategorization again? Somebody miscategorized something?
Oh my gosh.
another indictment that is not categorized properly. This time, this whole entire case is not even presented properly. Okay, great job. Great job, Busby. Great job, man.
So you submit all this. You submit all this and
he throwing out oops, man.
This is crazy.
This guy
declining to refer to disciplinary committee because they weren't admitted to practice in this district and has not entered an appearance in the case. Oh man. So
is Busby a bully? Is he a bully? Do you think he's a bully attorney, Kat? Like he's just gonna bust his way in?
I mean, I don't know. Because
I'm trying to figure this out.
I don't deny that he's had to litigate.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like this type of, with a class action suit with something like damages that one company did because of one incident, something that actually qualifies as a class action suit. I don't know if he's just taking that business model and trying to stretch it over into a personal injury where it's like a one-on-one experience. Like with Diddy, you have all these different instances. It seems similar enough, but it can't really be tried as a class action suit, which is why he's doing them individually, because it's different instances that each of them experienced. But it seems like he's trying to stretch that structure of the class action model that he's been very successful with previously to what he's doing now in recent years. And I don't really know if you can or should be, whether strategically, morally, or ethically, should be treating these situations in that way.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Right.
Here we are. So that's crazy.
It
Admission 1 subjects an attorney to the jurisdiction of the court and to sanctions for signing pleadings that are not grounded in the facts and the law. Mr. Busby thus appears to have strategically declined to seek admission in order to avoid sanctions for a complaint that he knew had no factual basis. This is not a light line.
No,
This
not.
is all like gloves are off. Everything we've got, like basically hand to hand. We're not even firing shots across the bow anymore.
Right,
This is like
right.
ready to go toe to toe to say this.
Yeah.
An attorney appears to have strategically declined to seek admission, which they're supposed to do, to avoid sanctions. You're telling the court they're playing in your face.
Exactly.
And you've got a separate open extortion lawsuit against the same attorney.
Already cooking in the fire. Already cooking. Yeah, Busby is and again, see, this is the same thing I was saying about back when the YSL trial was going on. Even I was saying on my channel before, even if all of the defendants are actually guilty, because of the lazy approach of the state, they were able to get the deals that they got. It's not about, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to court, it's not about what you feel. It's about what you can actually bring forth as concrete evidence to bring forth whatever justice that it is that you're saying you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Do you know Fonnie Willis said in an interview that she would approach the YSL trial the exact same way? Like, you gotta be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. Here it is, we work hard and our taxes is paying you. And if you're going to get rid of crime on the streets that we're paying for, then I want you to be able to prosecute in the most efficient way possible. Not with this lazy Operation Peanut, whatever, planters, whatever that crap was.
I wonder, like, benefit of the doubt, maybe she's just saying that because it's, you're saying it generally.
I mean, it could be just to make sure she have her back at the back of the DA office, you know what I'm saying, to say, hey, these are still good lawyers over there. I mean, she could have been cleaning that up or saying that to say, hey, I agree with the game plan that we had. I wouldn't change it. The outcome is what it is, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, she could be saying it for that reason as well. However, all I'm saying is this, is that if you're going to bring a case to the public like this, and you're the state, I want you to bring the case and work that boy to the nines. Stop having your witnesses that you're calling on your stand not cooperate with you, obviously, in front of everybody, in front of the jury.
And I feel like she might,
mean, stuff like that. Like,
she's got different roles. I don't think she was in the courtroom to know 100% what was going on. I mean, it struck me that she said that Jeffrey Williams pled guilty to gang charges when he did NOLO. So I was like, is she being deceptive, or is she just really out of the loop and like quickly rolling out a statement here? And I hope it's the latter. I'd rather it be the latter than the former. And I feel like she might say, we're going to approach this the same way, because maybe she's just out of the loop entirely on the strategic approach in that case.
Maybe so, but and then at the same time, she still signed some immunity documents and stuff for Woody and all that kind of stuff. And the way the way that went was just like all muddy. Like, all the waters were so muddy in the case that they presented. I mean, they were case in chief the entire time. For the entire trial, Kat. They were case in chief for the entire trial. You know what I'm saying? So so if I'm paying you, you're a tax paying citizen, and you see those state prosecutors bringing this before you, this is unacceptable work. That's all I'm saying. Even if the defendants are all guilty, all of them could have just did it. Every last one of them, they could have been guilty of everything.
It's just a hot mess.
It's just a hot mess that you presented to us, and now they cannot say, hey, they're guilty. They can't put them in jail. So the jury was like, we ain't finding nobody guilty of anything, especially RICO. None of them was guilty of RICO. Not one single person was guilty of RICO, which lets you know that RICO statute is flawed. Everything about what the state presented is flawed. And it could be the same situation in this particular instance. Busby, your victim could be an actual victim. This could have actually happened. But because you are so inefficient in your approach of representing her, you make her look like she's lying. Now
Right, because
people cannot
if you
believe her.
vetted it and she
If you
didn't remember something correctly, the first way you laid out your statement of facts, you could have gotten everything, at least accurate,
at
right? If
least
you didn't
accurate.
know something, don't
Right.
say it, right? But he
There you
didn't
go.
do that vetting and just rolled with it.
He just rolled it. And that's what I'm saying. That now there's mixed emotions and mixed judgments about this whole thing because nothing is concrete, bro. You
Well, and it's
gotta
just
bring
another thing,
concrete.
like if there's somebody else out there that has had an experience with the person being accused here, with someone that, quite frankly, to me, it seems like this woman is either mistaken entirely or misidentifying. That's where I'm at with this particular instance. But there's another person out there, like, don't go to Busby. Maybe don't go to Busby.
He
And
might not be the good choice.
I get it. People are like, he's a successful attorney, but I don't know. I don't know if
it's too muddy. You can't come out the mud clean.
And if he's got 100 cases to handle, if he's got 100 cases to handle, that is a workload, right? That's
absolutely.
So this could be a blessing in disguise if someone else has been sitting, wanting to tell their story and thinking maybe I should call this law firm. Like maybe there's another one that you'd be in better hands with. And I know people are like, oh my God, but he's so successful. But you guys gotta remember that not every specialization that you might be good at over here, you might not be great at this other thing.
Exactly.
And maybe this isn't for him. Maybe this isn't for him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Is this like, I would say, so given these facts, Mr. Carter intends to file immediately a motion to strike the first amended complaint under Rules 11C2 and 12F. He respectfully requests that the court shorten the filing deadline for that motion from 21 days to 1 day from the date of service in light of today's stunning public disclosures and the severe ongoing harm to Mr. Carter's reputation. See Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 11C2. Judge Torres, individual practices in civil cases. Respectfully submitted, Alex Spiro and Antigone Curis, like CC and Antigone. Is that how you say that? Antigone?
No, I don't want to mess nobody's name up.
Yeah, let's not mess that up.
My real name get butchered all the time, so I don't want to mess nobody up.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever it is, I think this is not exactly.
I mean, this has been the year where lawyers. Yeah, this is the year where lawyers have been getting exposed when it comes to due diligence, man. I'm telling you, I'm serious. Like the YSL case trial said it all. And then when you look at other trials that happened this year, like the Alec Baldwin trial, and it was supposed to be a 6-day or 9-day trial or something like that, or a 6-day trial, and ended up being 3 days because they withheld exculpatory evidence on him. And that Morrissey, the attorney Morrissey, oh my God. First of all, you have the right to remain silent, right? You have the right to remain silent. And let me tell you something. Morrissey should have never took the stand to try to defend herself. No way, no how. She did a terrible job of trying to explain why she put that evidence under a different number, under a different case number and everything. It was just,
it didn't seem right.
It didn't seem right. It was crazy.
It didn't seem right, and the judge was not with it. I mean, what if this judge doesn't, like, whatever, I'm just gonna let this keep going forward. But what if this judge is like Judge Summers and is like, oh my gosh, holy moly. I agree. Exactly. I agree that, how are we having all these filings by somebody who isn't really admitted yet in this jurisdiction? And then we have some extra concerns on top of it, right? That's 2 layers here. It's not just one reason. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of these things could come down to the judge, and I don't know anything about this judge. I don't know. I can't guess what's gonna happen, but this is a mess. This is a mess. Well, what is the chat? The chat is moving. This is a smaller conversation.
I like what
an
Lisa
unusual night. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel right there. I feel like this is right here. This is on point.
I messaged Busby. I messaged Tay Biz like, I'm mad. I'm mad at Busby. When I hit
Yes,
the live button, like I said, I'm just mad at this attorney. I'm mad at
I
this
am upset with
attorney.
this dude. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the laziness, or again, like you said, not necessarily just that, but also the fact that because a lawyer specializes in certain things, it doesn't mean that they specialize in all matters of the law. You know what I'm saying? In all kind of cases, it doesn't mean that. Like, I wouldn't use a business lawyer for a murder trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just doesn't go together. You know,
Doug Weinstein did great.
well, yeah, well,
but that's exceptional, right?
he
That's
might
like
be,
the exception to the norm or the
yeah,
expectation.
that's the exception, not the rule, right there. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's the example you gave when Doug Weinstein's so fresh in my mind. First criminal trial, and it was the YSL not guilty, full acquittal for Diamante Kendrick there.
Full acquittal, man.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
gosh. I
Awesome.
might open up the link. Pam Entertainment TV, if you're still in the chat, please let me know. Tavis TV, I don't know if you've ever met Pam, except maybe in the chat here. Pam, awesome, guys. Make sure you're following Pam Entertainment TV as well. Great commentary, lots of pop culture news, movies, entertainment, all of that. Things that are way beyond my realm of knowledge, but really cool to hang out, casual conversations. But Pam had said 120Cs with all those inconsistencies is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was just a 5-minute clip.
Yeah, exactly.
So Touche says, did she say she was dropped off at the VMAs alone? Yeah. So she had a friend that drove her, but then when she got there, she was there by herself and she couldn't get in. And then she ends up finding who she says is Diddy's limousine driver, which is scary to me because I can visualize some person just playing on her,
Right.
saying they were somebody's limo driver, and it was a total lie from that moment. And
Right.
if that moment happened, whatever played out could have been someone pretending to be Diddy's limousine driver. And that's scary. That's really scary.
For sure. Definitely.
Thank you, Touche. KC Dog says, I'm just glad to be back with Cat for Alive. Hey, popping in unexpectedly, obviously, usually not here. It's about to be Saturday, which is crazy. Man. Sassy experiences, the initial filing said the driver took her to the after party at 9:30, but VMAs how would have been in progress. They removed the time in later filings. Yep. And I think you should give some grace to changes when someone does an amended filing, especially 24 years later. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's being deceptive. It could just be a lapse of memory or even sometimes a miscommunication and you don't correct it before the filing goes through, which really sucks, right?
Right.
But it happens. But
right.
Yeah, they did remove that time and a couple other details. So now I think it's in a little bit of a different light. And again, like Busby, what are you doing? Or the law firm. Or the law firm.
What is going on?
Destined to be says, shout out boss attorney Bree. Love watching her. It was nice to catch her live yesterday. Touche's out here gifting 5 memberships. Thank you to Touche. Shout out Touche in the chat. That's really kind of you to do. Good to see you. That girl Mia says, I missed the 30K celebration. Congrats, Kat. Heck yeah, Dirty 30 tonight, you guys. We hit 30K here on YouTube, which is crazy.
Kat. That's what's
up.
Crazy.
Dirty 30 for 3 more minutes until it's Saturday.
You're a big dog, man. You're a big dog.
Super awesome. Speaking of big dogs, we've got KC Dog saying most would pursue criminal versus civil if you were a victim. And I've seen some, and I'm going to defer to Andrea Burkhart, who she doesn't practice in New York State, but she had done a write-up. I think I saw it on her Substack. But she was going over, the elements to meet certain things. So it's possible that if certain elements are there, that it could fall under a charge that the statute of limitations would not have expired. But if those elements aren't met, then it would be outside the statute of limitations. So I don't know. There can be some complicated details with things like that, depending on what something would actually be classified under. forcible kidnapping. It seems like there's kind of elements where she's saying it was against her will, but in this video, she kind of expresses that it was after. So again, you wouldn't really know until you try to bring a case forward, and that's up to her. That's up to anybody, right? If you don't actually make the report, I think it's pretty uncommon that somebody will pursue something out of state, but it wouldn't be the first time a New York court has gone off a story that someone posted while living out of state to say, hey, on our own, we're going to issue a warrant and arrest somebody and then bring them to trial. Adam Foss is somebody that went through that experience with New York courts. So it can happen, but I think it's less likely if the key witness themselves isn't going and making a report themselves. So it's really up to her, I think, if we see any motion there. Heart of Inspiration, good to see you, says, I'm waiting for the evidence to come out. Again, and it's okay to have an initial reaction to things, but I do think that everybody should be open-minded to be able to change your mind if you want, based on new things that you learn. Heart of Inspiration says, seeking a settlement is not extortion. I pray for justice. And I agree. I don't think that trying to keep things out of public eye is extortion. But I think, again, and this is because of Busby. This is because of Busby.
Right.
Some of the things that he said, I think, I know people, and you can feel that Alex Spiro, that extortion lawsuit, that maybe that's frivolous. But I think that this gives a little bit of credence there. Gives a little bit more there. And I agree, I pray for justice. And hopefully, like, either way, this Jane Doe is going through it. Like, she's upset. It seems like she was upset in this interview. I mean, they zoomed in on her hand to show what she was doing with her hand. Like, the camera person noticed it. Busby says that she's having seizures. Like, that's not good. That's not good. Casey, and this is true. I'm not saying when it's true, but it can be true, generally speaking. Money makes some people remember and money makes some people forget, LOL. So that's a good one. It can be like that.
Yeah, man.
And it's crazy. I mean, that's kind of like the flip side of a settlement, you know. Money, in a way, you did something bad, and sometimes the settlement makes that thing go away for you. Forget that it happened, but it
just
actually
disappeared,
happened.
huh? Yeah.
So, and Touche says, any interest in the Alexander brothers case? When was their arrest? That was Thursday too, right? The real estate mogul guys?
I'm not familiar with that case.
Yeah, I think that was yesterday. So I'm just going to toggle over to these search results so you can get a face to the name. But wealthy real estate tycoons. And I believe it's more than just the brothers, but trafficking, like victims back and forth between, and this is across state lines. So like Miami properties back to New York. So I have a cursory look at this, Touche. It doesn't look good. It doesn't really look good. And I haven't seen a response from them. So me saying it doesn't look good for them, I've only seen one side that's against them. But it doesn't seem to look good for them. But yeah, another example of rich people bond deals, among other things. I can imagine. I will look at that a little bit more. Yeah, Jamie, and this is where I am personally. Jamie says the problem is the lawyer, and that's me. And that's not to say that he's done a bad job with other cases or other clients, guys. But this one looks like a big mess up. And it could be because he has 100 cases at his law firm that apparently doesn't have that big of a team, right? Logistically, maybe that's his strain. Maybe he didn't do the vetting because his office is a chaotic mess.
Exactly.
Because people are raising their hand and saying, look, something happened to me. Will you take my case? And he's like, yeah, I want to help you. And maybe that's the explanation here. And still not good. Still not good.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Too many cases for one person or a small group of people to do. It's too much.
Yep.
And now you're making mistakes, and you might have misidentified, and you might have done this, and you didn't vet properly your client, like, and then you just putting it out there like that. Like,
And I don't
much
think
going
it's
on, man.
easy. I do not think it's easy for someone to say they've misidentified, especially where you know the repercussions. Like there's weight when you get something wrong. People don't like to admit they're wrong about little things. Right? So when you have a bigger thing and you might be wrong, but you might be right, and you know that if you say a little bit, you might be wrong just because you're not 100% sure. The vast majority of people are going to be like, well, it's probably not the right thing. You probably had it wrong if you're not entirely sure. Like that rubber band effect of how a maybe it wasn't is somehow interpreted as it absolutely wasn't. Maybe that's not the best way for us to react to things when it happens either. But again, this is a serious claim. This is a serious claim. So how much certainty do we need? And again, civil, you know, maybe 75% is the standard. How sure we need to be. It's not 99%. But it carries a lot of weight. And I think for her to say that, you know, there are people that are victims that still might say they're not 100% sure that the person they're pretty sure it was actually the person. And that's a crappy position to be in.
Absolutely.
So nothing, I don't think there's anything really to take lightly about this.
No, not at
and
all.
don't forget, cases of mistaken identity, you know, that's one of the higher ranking causes of exonerations, right? Speaking of criminal cases, criminal convictions, different types of crimes, right? It's not just one type of crime, but mistaken witness ID and false witness ID, right? You know, intentionally or accidentally, it happens. But you know, there is no perfect solution. You can't just say, don't believe everybody. And you can't really say, well, you don't need proof.
Right.
So where do you guys draw the line? I don't think we'll ever have an answer. No,
it's going to be subjective. It seems, you know, so there's no definite answer to that. It's not.
And yeah, I don't know. There could be, I see Michael saying men won't overlook SA because he's Jay-Z. Do you mean like in other cases moving forward, other claims, or do you mean just for him specifically? Or maybe I'm missing like maybe this is like not a general thought. Maybe it's like a part of a conversation that I'm missing. Jenny says, what's going on? It's 5:04 a.m. in Ireland. Shout out to Jenny over in Ireland. Yeah, and I think this is true too. You know, there will always be gender bias in cases like this and class bias as well.
For sure.
And I really don't think we'd be here if this wasn't somebody that could afford to put up a pushback. And maybe in cases people with money can make things that they really did go away. But on the flip side, there's people that don't have money that can't make things that they did not do go away. And they're stuck with the shadow of something that they never did because they don't have the resources to fight it. So it's just so nuanced.
Like how Diddy tried to make that video go away at the hotel with that money, and then
the 50 grand.
And then all of a sudden, years later, poof,
didn't he recently say that, like, didn't he comment recently about that video? Trying to say that, like implying he had a defense to it?
No, well, he went on his IG. You talking about when he went on his IG and said he was messed up?
Not the apology video when he was like,
"Oh my God!" I was like, "Dude, just stop talking, bro. You're cooked, bro. You're cooked, man." That was crazy. And then he cleared up his IG right after that, I think, right? Like, didn't he just clear out everything on his IG?
Okay, yeah, he said the video was edited. He said it was altered.
Oh my God.
Like,
the thing is, your apology of the video is admittance that you did it. You're admitting that you did it, bro.
You apologized. And I don't think every settlement is an admission, but I think there is a basis to more than not suspect that settlement with Cassie was because there was a basis to what she was saying. Exactly. And she said in that complaint you know, he did this to me in this hotel at this point in time, and he tried to pay someone to obscure it. I mean,
Mhm.
I get that people can do amazing things with technology and edit things, but
Mhm.
did we do all that back then?
Right. Right.
So that was like, that excuse is just crazy. That excuse is just so, I think the longest reach, like the Fantastic Forearms
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't think we could get there. I don't think we can get there. So
Nah. Nah.
crazy. Oh my gosh. Um, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of, sorry, I'm trying to like look at chats, but I think a lot of them are part
Mhm.
of conversations.
Yeah.
Um, I don't
Yeah.
really got anything else. I see
Some
other
people
people
have,
mentioning other cases. I
some
didn't
people got
follow
some
Ole
mad
Miss.
disrespect on the chat too, man. Dang.
Yeah, you guys, I
You,
know it's a sensitive topic.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't expect people to not have disagreements. I don't expect people to
Right.
not have differences of opinion. But let's make sure
Right.
we're not like calling names or
Exactly. Like you ain't gotta call us special needs and then walk off the chat. Like, dang, bro. You know, I mean, there's
yeah, that's crazy.
somebody deleted the comment, but it's like, you know, you're gonna have your biases and you're gonna have your opinions and things of that nature. If you come to a conversation with openness and honesty, you're coming in the conversation to learn and understand something. You know, we listen to understand. We're not listening just to respond and reply with our own experiences. I mean, your experience may be similar to someone else's, and sometimes your experience is just yours. You know, so but
Yep.
we don't have to call each other outside our names and have all these disrespectful retorts because we don't see things your way. Like that's not cool at all. So
Or
hopefully
even,
we come to a place where we can get a little bit more open with that. You know.
or like for you to say like, hey, you know, if I was the father in a situation, I would ask questions, right?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
said like, well, you know, sometimes some people aren't that type of person.
Mhm.
And we had a conversation. And I think
Right.
that's good to have because guess
Right.
what? There could have been someone in the chat that's like, I don't know if I would ask anything. Should I say anything? And you, as the
Right.
man on the chat, would be like, say something, ask what's wrong.
Yeah.
So now,
Exactly.
like, having that conversation could like sow the seed for somebody that might be
Right.
in this situation with a friend or someone that they know where something seems
Mhm.
off. Like, maybe I should
Right.
just drive home 10 and 2 on the wheel and not say anything. But
Mhm.
hey, no, it seems like the right thing to do would be like, of course, I'm going to see
Yeah.
what's up. Something's not right. Are you good?
Mhm. Right.
So, like, those conversations are important. So,
Absolutely. We had the conversation on my channel about the Letcher County situation and how we were trying to distinguish between
now, chat, that's the judge that got shot by the sheriff, Letcher County. That's the case that he's talking about here.
oh man. So when we the very first time when we looked at the actual hearing of this case, we was trying to distinguish that the state or the prosecution is accusing him of murder of the first degree and not manslaughter, and he pled not guilty because manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter has more of a uh, heat of passion type of connotation to it. And so when you see that this man takes the phone and calls his daughter from the judge's phone, that's when you see a response that we saw on the video of him unaliving the judge. Now, in that particular case, see that could be a very sensitive topic as well because you have this father who is a sheriff because the previous sheriff Ben Fields was on some Mr. Nasty
Funky
time.
time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? In the judge's chambers, there's a video camera in there. You know, it's all kind of sex for favors going on
Yeah,
between the
just weird
judge.
things going on in the county.
Weird
An
things going
active
on.
suit from someone that's not a family member of either parties here, but
Mhm.
you know, she was someone that was under arrest. She was
Mhm.
released. She had to wear an ankle monitor
All
and she
right.
couldn't pay. When you have an ankle monitor, you got to like pay the upkeep on that. You got to pay the
That's
fees.
yeah.
And the person watching over her was like, all right, I'll help you pay
Uh-huh.
for that. Give me something
Mhm.
in return. So
Mhm.
there's active motion there, like a lot of crazy
Right.
details that something. You know, sometimes you just get that gut feeling that like something more to it is
Right.
there, and
Right.
piece it together. Like it's not fully woven together, but it's like so.
And then
And you
you
never
had
really know what you would do. Like I
right.
would be like, I wouldn't read something and turn around and shoot somebody, but
Exactly.
could I understand why somebody like that might not have been a long plot, long game. I could understand why it was in the moment, and now I have to
In the
look at the
moment.
elements of the crime as the
Right.
prosecution's charging it. So, very
And then he
complicated
had
layers
lunch
there
with
with that
him.
one.
Right. And then he
Yeah.
had lunch with him at the street side bar and grill, and they broke bread. And but see, this is the one thing that we discover is that he actually mentioned at the restaurant, he mentioned something to the judge when they
Oh,
was all together. That the judge responded and said, "Hey, should we talk about this privately?" See, and Sean Mickey Stein's like, "Yeah, we should. Yeah, we actually should talk about this privately." And
so
then
they
that's
go in the
when
chambers where there's a camera.
you know what I'm saying. So obviously the man was not. Obviously Mickey knew that the camera was there, but didn't care. So
Yeah.
again, there are elements of first degree, premeditated. Then there's elements of moment, heat of passion, crime of passion. It's all those like that's what I'm saying. When it comes to things like this particular case with this Jane Doe, like the muddier the case, the more you should just like really just listen
Take a
to
breath.
it. Take a breath, man, because your emotion will always choose whatever you have been a victim of yourself, or always choose what you've been a victim of, or whatever you've had traumatic experiences with. So it's always going to choose on
Whatever
that
makes
side.
you feel more impassioned
Right.
towards whatever part of the
Exactly.
story, like the character that you it doesn't
Right.
even need to be something that you've experienced directly, but whatever you feel
Right.
like you have the biggest grasp of understanding towards, or
Mhm.
maybe I know people weigh
Yeah.
credibility different, right? And there's all,
Right.
especially when you don't know a lot, it's
Right.
hard to effectively weigh credibility because you don't have a lot to work with. So,
Exactly.
and I applaud anybody for feeling passionate about any cause, right?
Absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
I don't there's nothing wrong with wanting to reduce false accusations, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to believe victims, and hopefully most people understand that it's not an either or. It shouldn't be an
Exactly.
either or.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with feeling passionate about something that you feel like is a good
Right.
cause, no matter
Right.
the direction there.
So
Yeah,
where
everyone's
do
like, this case is a hot mess.
it is. It is. It's crazy.
Everyone in
So
the
where
chat that knows the Letcher case.
so how do we draw the line? So then the fact of the matter is that no matter what your opinion is of the measurement of this pen, if I put a ruler to it and it says this pen is 4 inches, then that's the facts. You can't change that. So then you have to
Unless you
question
click
your
the button and
unless you click
unextend it.
then it's a 4.5, right?
Just to be annoying over here.
Right. But then you can't change that fact. So then the question would be, how do you discipline your emotion to accept the fact that's before you? And this is what we have to deal with when it comes to allegations and accusations prior to evidence. Evidence brings rulers to the case. It brings measurement to it. Accusation brings speculation and opinion of it. Rumors of this, they said this happened to me, boom. Okay, at that point, even if it actually happened, that's still an allegation. It's not even considered fact yet until it's proven. So how do you handle your emotion in the midst of that? And I think that's, as a society, we are so more emotionally driven that when we have conversations like this about essay and things of that nature, it always goes to the extreme. Like I've had the conversation on my channel before. I remember using the chat and we talked about this before. And I'm like, you're going to go to the extreme, especially if you have that emotional attachment and bias to it for whatever you're passionate about. But then when you bring a ruler to it, then now you have to reconsider. Now you have to reconsider, like, dang, I got really emotional or attached to this idea. Now that the facts are before me, it's like, okay, how can I accept what is before me? Sometimes it's hard to do that,
I was gonna say, I think, I want to jump back to earlier in this video when I was like, it's weird to me that Tony Busby was on X like 3 days. And to me, it was weird because it seemed like a little bit of what I felt like Adrienne Love did. She'd do a lot of getting focused when she felt personally offended. And sure, she would say, I'm an advocate for victims. But here I'm going to go on to make an argument for 15 minutes that's really in defense of myself or rehabilitating my own credibility. And in a way, like what seemed to be the inspiration behind Tony Busby saying all this stuff on X was under the guise of being advocacy for his client, but a lot in the defense of his own self. And maybe you have the right to do that, whatever. But I have a hard time gauging, you know, how much should an attorney be saying in public? There's certain ethical obligations, there's certain things that they can't just come out and say. And then there's a strategy consideration. But at the same time, you know, I don't think it's wrong for an attorney to feel passionate about their client. And if you feel
No, not
passionate
at
about
all.
your client, wouldn't you feel compelled to want to stick up for them?
Right.
And maybe you
Passion
got to
and
pull the
compassion.
reins back.
Right,
You want to
right.
keep it to the courtroom.
But
But
see,
I think that's got to be a difficult thing to constrain.
absolutely, because I think what when you have passion, that's fine. But when you have compassion, and if you're a lawyer, especially if you're representing somebody else and you believe that they're innocent and based on whatever facts you discover, then you're not going to allow yourself to become the focal point of winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to become the main idea in this particular thing. Like for instance, it's almost like a football coach. I just want to use a sport analogy for an example. It's like a football coach. You know, it's 4th and 2, and he's like, "Let's go for it." But you're on your own 20-yard line. Like, you shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
but sometimes if you do, sometimes it actually works. Not always.
It works,
Certainly
but
not always.
it's seldom more than any time. You know, they're very seldom. But at the same time, it's like you cost your team, you cost your team, you know, an opportunity to play defense, go on the other side of the field and try to win it that way. You're so passionate about what you want to do that you're not considering the team. And that's kind of like sometimes when we have the passion instead of the compassion, then it's like, okay, we tend to get in our own way when it comes to passion sometimes. I know this for a fact because I'm a very passionate man.
I like, you know, it has the word within it, but I like the distinction. It's like a little bit of an overlap, but they're not the same.
Exactly.
So,
they operate
I've never really
differently.
heard that, but like when you spell it out, it makes sense hearing it, but I've never conceptualized that out in words. So I actually really appreciate that difference.
Oh, no
I'm
problem.
going to use it. I'm going to use
because
it.
because the passion is personal. You know what I'm saying? But the compassion, I saw somebody say emotional intelligence. That's the awareness of others as well. So you have to have self-awareness and you got to have the awareness of your surroundings. Like, read the room. Like, why? Like, read the room so that way you can have the compassion towards something. It's like a relationship. You got passion, you know, you love each other, y'all dating, everything is good. You got that dopamine hit, you know what I'm saying? You think each other sexy and all that kind of stuff, right? and then you have to, then you start living together and getting older. Okay, the character has to lead the relationship. Compassion, the compassionate love has to lead the relationship. Now I have passion for you, but also do I have compassion? Can I cover your flaws? Can I cover your insecurities for you? You know what I'm saying? How can I serve you? That's what a man is. He's a servant leader, or should be. You know what I'm saying? So how can my love cover your multitude of flaws? You know, and vice versa. How can you reciprocate
in a certain
that?
way, like
so you got to do that with compassion. So,
like a professional capacity, if you have an attorney, and I'm gonna think of some colleagues I have that work in the estate planning space. You're talking about wills, deaths. Sometimes you're planning for it, which is a morbid topic. Other times it's already happened. You have to rearrange things, and you might be in the midst of the grieving process right after someone passed away, and you've got to sort out all the paperwork, right? But a few people have started to bring like an animal, a pet, a dog into the office. And they say the entire like demeanor of the family who's upset, they're not looking forward, they're nervous about having these conversations. But they get there and they're like, oh my God, a dog, a golden retriever. And it just like changes the energy of the whole room. And just those little things, all of a sudden you can actually have a conversation back and forth.
Right.
You know, you're not trying to deny that this is a hard conversation anymore. You can actually have the two-way conversation that you need to have. And I would imagine that's
Absolutely.
obviously like the estate planning space. It's family
Right.
oriented. There's usually kids, which is why the dog is like,
Right.
it's very
Right.
helpful for the kids. I'm sure the adults too. It'd be helpful
Right.
for me. But sometimes just, again, taking that moment to take a deep breath to
Yeah.
not let someone be alone with the way that they're feeling.
Mhm.
And I think attorneys could benefit from that, because sometimes I think some attorneys feel like they can't be compassionate. They've got to keep it
Mhm.
professional.
Right.
But it's not
Right.
over here and over there.
Exactly.
So
That's
I
one
really
of the
like
things
that, passion versus compassion.
I really appreciate the way that, Max Sharp represent Shannon and how Doug represented Diamante, because of the fact that they literally was like, okay, we're going to put ourselves in your shoes and get to know you and be a part of your life, not just represent you and just do the best deal that we can and just move on. No, we believe that you are innocent. We believe this, we believe that, and we have the backing to prove that. Okay, now we're going to sacrifice those sleepless nights. Now we're going to sacrifice. I know you don't want to talk about it, Diamante, but we got to talk about it today, because I really believe that you are going to be able to win this case this way, that way. And then Doug even said, you know what, my client also lets me know what's going on in the case. He's engaged in this, and now you have a relationship, right? You have a relationship, and that's what a lot of times people miss out on. It's like you're missing the opportunity to connect with someone. Relationship is important. Like right now, you and I consider us having a relationship. It's a YouTube one, you know what I'm saying? But you message me directly. We kind of like, we're like-minded, and at the same time we support each other. It's a relationship.
Yeah, and when I'm in your chat, I'm like, I don't know about this, and you're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
all right, Kaz,
Yeah.
she doesn't know about this one.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this is the part of society that's lacking, and so it filters into everything that we do. Cases, the court system, family, church. If you go to church, the job, it filters into everything else, because you're trying so badly to disconnect that you miss the opportunity to connect. And there's blessings in connections, the right ones, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
not this day.
That's so interesting, because you're talking about Doug Weinstein and Max Sharp, and I mean, I love Jay Apt's opening statement on behalf of Diamante Kendrick, and I loved his fiery spit spatter with Detective Underwood.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that was his 100% time spent in the courtroom, and that was good. That was it. It was exhausted. It was great anymore, and it would have been like,
right.
Because I don't know if his presence would have had anywhere near the same dynamic that Doug Weinstein had. And there's a possibility that, he took that approach knowing that Doug would be in the room 95% of the time. So I can play a different personality. I can take on a different emotion when I'm doing my opening and the limited cross-examination that we saw from Jay Apt. But at the same time, I think things could have been a little bit different. And that's not to say that Jay couldn't have made his arguments the same way. But the difference in approach, I think, was really humanizing. I think people liked Doug a lot. People might have gotten a laugh at Jay Apt, but I don't know about watching that for a year.
Right, exactly. So I mean, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that attract. He don't believe in attracting bees with honey. He you know what I'm saying, because obviously he did have that pit bull approach, but it was needed for the moment.
The little sprinkle,
right? The little sprinkle,
sprinkled it a little
bit, and that's what it is. It's like sometimes you got to have a little bit of assertiveness, and then you got to have a little bit of chill back. You feel me? You gotta balance these things out, and so you can't just go head first into something. And this is the problem with biases, even though we all gonna have them. But certain times, like an issue like this case, okay, can I objectively look at this particular accusation without having a personal vendetta or idea of Jay-Z or Diddy,
or having a sympathy towards a party, even if it's their attorney, right? Because so much of this small development in a week has
Right.
become Busby versus Spyro. Or for a lot of people, Busby versus the other guy, right?
Exactly.
Spyro's not a no-name. A lot of people are like,
Exactly.
oh, Spyro represented Alec Baldwin. Oh, Spyro represented didn't he do some work for Meg Thee Stallion? Like, he's had big name clients as well. He hasn't been in the game quite as long as Busby, but I think a lot more people knew the name Busby
Right.
for either the Paxton, you know, his big case with BP, lots of reasons to know his name. But
Right.
some of it has been a like or dislike for one or the other
Exactly.
attorney.
Exactly.
And not even like the Jane Doe or Jay-Z being in
Right.
question.
Exactly. It's
And in
like they're in
any
the middle.
case,
Yeah, they're in the middle of something going on that's
yeah, like
bigger than
how do
them.
you what role should, and I think it's very valid to say like, hey, I have skepticism about Jay-Z because X, Y, other Z reason.
hmm hmm
And I can respect that. Do I think that that should come into play if someone seems to be contradicting? So that I have to distance myself from something else could have happened, but I don't know if there's a
hmm
there here. But I don't know, how do you, people get so impassioned. And there's like the Stan Wars. I don't know if you in the chat, if you don't use a platform like X and you've never been on there to see it yourself, there is a whole war of people that I don't think even care about Jay-Z. They don't care about either of these attorneys. They may not have looked at this case, but they're simply either a fan or a hater of Beyonce.
Exactly.
And they've
Exactly.
got enough in there to like argue with each other because their pop star that they like is better, or they think that somebody else is only against Jay because they don't like Beyonce. And it's been
Yeah.
a really crazy thing for me to
Yeah.
sit and scroll through. It's like, I feel like I'm rubbernecking on X to see some of these, the passion that people have as part of a stan culture fandom towards
Uh-huh.
a celebrity that really has nothing to do with this case. And it's just odd. It's odd
Yeah.
that we have such strong opinions about someone who says I'm a victim of something very serious, and we're seeing it become their story is just igniting a stan war where she's completely lost in the story. She's no
Right.
longer even a detail.
Right. Exactly.
It's
She's a real
insane.
spec now. Yeah. It's like
It's
she's a spec.
insane.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's again, the compassion is lacking. So it's like my bias takes over the fact that I don't realize that I could be in that same person's position. Like, everyone is susceptible to falling and failing and flaws and stuff like that. But because you have mastered this one thing about yourself, now you are above this and above things. And that's the same way when it comes to like lawyers and stuff. It's like, I've won all these cases. I'm class action. I'm this. I'm Busby. And then, but you don't vet this client enough.
What if the person that sent this over to him was like his legal BFF? Like, I always trust your work, bro. To me, like, if I'm Tony Busby, this referring person, to me, this person is Tony Busby to me. I think Tony Busby is the bee's knees. He's so successful. I think this person handing this client over to me, who would have done the work. Yeah. Can you imagine like the side eye next time you look over at your whoever this referring person was? And that's why, like, there I don't know if there's an excuse there at a professional level for you not doing the vetting that you're supposed to do anyway. Right. But on a personal, like, reciprocal business relationship, referring clients to each other, I'd be like, oh my God.
Exactly.
I did it to myself, but also
right.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Goodness. Also, Survivor Speaks gave these very kind words, said, hey, Kat and Tay. Love you both. We love you right back, Survivor Speaks.
Awesome. Love you back. Love you back.
The gang is all here tonight. And Survivor Speaks gifting 5 memberships.
Green gang.
Show some love in the chat here for Survivor Speaks.
For sure. For sure.
Big love there. That's super nice there.
I'm going to go ahead and do the same. Survivor Speaks.
There we go. Drop it in there. I see that Red Bunny, I know this is the middle of a conversation you're having, but I see Anastasios Menetis, Miles Farley's attorney, and Nicole Fagan. And I've got to give a shout to Nicole Fagan. I think she's a little bit notorious because she was the one that was arrested because that hasn't played out. And I don't know what's going on with that. I have an eyebrow raised on that situation because there's been not much motion with it. But her philosophy is putting your defense together with your client, letting them be an active part of their defense. And what does that require to do? You have to be what? You have to be compassionate.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I think it's such a great thing. And,
Yes.
Doug didn't spell that philosophy out, but, chat notice from the body language, watching the table without even hearing Doug do these interviews. Hey, it seems like Yak's doing lawyerly things over there, just right arm in arm with Doug Weinstein all the time. We started to see it more with Shannon Stillwell and Max Short as well. So, and maybe that's a product of it being such a long trial.
Yeah.
But seeing, here's our defense strategy. Here, we're the attorney, but we're the professional, but we're also going to put our client up here with it. And we might hit the brakes when they want to go crazy. They have a strategy that I know from experience is just not going to play well in court. Rein them back in. But letting them play an active role, helping interpret things, helping suggest things. Hey, maybe I noticed the jury did something. And just making sure we're not just approaching the case in a bubble because we're the professional and know everything. So really, really cool to see. So shout out here to these other two attorneys. We'll see more of them as this second YSL trial moves forward. Unfortunately for Miles Farley, surprised that they didn't offer him something, or maybe they did and he's just like, no. It seems like he is not willing to take a plea, and shout out to him for that. Hope it plays out well for him. But to me, guys, Miles Farley seems like somebody who was making clothing for people and might have been around people that were up to some funny business, but wasn't doing anything himself. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. His attorney took that case pro bono, which is crazy to think about. So, and then Obi says, y'all two literally just gave a fire 25-minute seminar on emotional intelligence and compassion. I'm here for the bounce back.
Shout
that
out
was
to Obi.
really... Tay Biz was driving that car, steering that ship. Oh my gosh, guys, I live in Florida. Speaking of driving the car and steering that ship, I saw a news article. The most Florida story, and it's sad. It's crazy. They do Christmas boat parades. You decorate boats, you go down like a river. It's a good time. People go and watch along the shore to watch the boats go by. It's like a whole thing. Somebody had a boat that was like modeled like a Corvette, like it was a car looking boat.
Okay.
And they were trying to show off. They were like waving to someone on the shore that was recording them. The girl's like TikTok dancing on the boat, and the guy just like revs up and just starts going crazy with the car boat, drives into another boat, causes an accident. So when I said driving the car or steering the ship, my brain just went to that car boat. And I'm like, oh God, that's why I said it. But super sad, like reckless story there.
Wow.
Yeah, usually the boat parades are really fun. Not this time around. Like crazy. And Scott saying, what y'all think about Karen Reed 2.0? Will there be a verdict this round? That's crazy. I think that whole case is crazy. It's going on for a very long time. What's scary is I think a good number of people may have been driving around very drunk in bad weather that night. And it's just like, it makes you wonder. Seems like somebody would have had some type of car accident at some point. I still think it's crazy. The most recent development is they're requalifying the expert witness that testified in the first trial to the marks on the victim's arms, John O'Keefe's arms, being more consistent with dog marks from bites or scratches. Rather than just, the pieces of the vehicle taillight scratched against his arm, or he was dragged on icy snow. She was saying what I'm seeing here would be consistent with what I've seen in my thousands of autopsies I've done and work with the police department. And in this hearing, the prosecution accuses her of lying, and she audibly gasps. She goes, and I don't know, I didn't love that. I didn't love that. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else is following. Or have you been covering anything, Karen Reed?
Not particularly. I'm familiar with the story, but I haven't been following up with that one. I've been so busy with Letcher. That whole thing is crazy.
I watched the first trial. It's a lot there. But if you see some like crazy, usually when you see like an update on Karen Reed, you can kind of get the gist of what's going wrong. Even if you don't know the whole context of the case, you can see like the isolated problem or challenge from one side to the other.
Okay.
But Kate says, yeah, because Bev, the judge, is right up there with Glanville. Oh, man. Yeah, touche. She's like super, super qualified. She has so many qualifications. And like on the flip side, the witness that the prosecution, they say the Commonwealth. I keep wanting to say the state. But the Commonwealth wants to put forth like took a course once. Took like a course once. So oh wait, and hold on. So you're saying that Shamina says she was caught lying. Are you talking about this witness? Oh, I've got to go watch it. I've got to go watch it. Bees on Mars says that expert literally wrote the book.
Wasn't Court TV like showcasing the trial like almost every day, wasn't it? Court TV.
Sorry, who was
Law and Crime, and Court TV and all that.
And what's crazy, that was a 6-week trial, and I still felt like it took the Commonwealth way too long. Then I'm watching the YSL trial. Like, oh my goodness. Oh,
whatever happened to the trial with the lady that killed her? I think she killed her boyfriend or something like that, or her husband or something like that. He was a firefighter. I think it was in Boston, Massachusetts. I think it was in Massachusetts.
No, that's Karen Reed.
Oh, that's Karen Reed. Oh, that's what it is.
But he was a police officer.
Oh, okay. Because I thought Karen Reed was the case. I'm conflating. Because I thought the Karen Reed case was the one where she made a mistake and drove over, hit her.
Yeah, it is. Okay, wait. So what are you talking about? Maybe you're right. Maybe there's a different one.
Yeah, because it was a lady. I forgot her name, but her either husband or boyfriend or something was a fireman, and they got into a heated argument. And I think she felt like he was coming at her or something like that. And then she shot him or something like that. I think the daughter was on the witness stand, giving witness to almost like a character witness of her mom or whatever, and the way the whole situation played out, because I think her daughter was around as well. If somebody help me in the chat with this case, I can't think of the name.
The daughter was the mom. The mom was the shooter.
Yeah, the mom was the shooter and actually unalived the fireman.
But it was the mom's daughter that testified?
Yeah,
I was thinking, is it Ashley Banfield? But I don't remember. I remember the victim's daughter testifying. I don't know if I remember Ashley having a daughter testify. I remember the guy's daughter testifying.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think so.
And then there was like a rumor she was out in the hall and may have said something to a media representative, and they had to call her in and ask her.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think yep. Yeah, thanks, Bees on Mars, Ashley Benfield.
Okay, yeah. I
mean, she was sentenced to 25 years or something, right? I'll Google it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know if she got sentenced already or not.
20 years. 20.
She got sentenced 20 years. What was it, manslaughter, or was it murder of the first degree?
I mean, she was convicted of whatever she was charged with.
Oh, okay. I wonder what she was charged with. It could have been manslaughter, because I think manslaughter you get up to 20 years, I believe, too, as well.
I'm surprised. I think she's lucky that it's only 20, because I think there would have been
if it's only 20, it's probably.
I said manslaughter. Okay, that's why.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what I figured. Yeah, I figured that. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, because it's with a firearm. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And Florida really doesn't play like that. I know we have a lot of Florida stories. It might seem like Florida, you can do anything crazy down here. But honestly, Florida has some pretty strict stuff when it comes to enhancements.
Yeah, right. She stabbed him. Right. That's what it was. She stabbed him.
So.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley Benefield was shooting. That was a firearm.
Oh, okay. That was the one. Okay. That was one with the firearm.
Courtney Clenny is a knife with stabbing against Christian Mobuselli. That was in Miami.
Christine Ricci. There it is.
Christine
Ricci. There it is.
Okay.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Holy moly.
Christine, you see, the 2024 been crazy.
What the heck?
2024
Yeah,
been
Massachusetts
crazy.
jury found her guilty on
Yes.
all charges. That's a
There you
stabbing,
go.
but what was the charges? Come on, article.
Yeah.
First-degree murder and assault with a dangerous weapon. So there you go.
Okay, there you go.
Dang.
Yep. And I remember,
That's
was it
firefighter? There you go.
Yeah, he was a fireman. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Because when I heard the case, I was like, what the what? And I looked at I think I looked at day one of the trial. And I was just like, first of all, just the way that the court was moving forward in this process was already impressive compared to the YSL trial we was watching for the last 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Like the judge said, this case been going on since God created Adam. And he when he said that, I was like, man, you are not lying, man. FFS,
I love
what's
little
up?
quotes like that.
Yes,
Oh,
I mean, it
FFS
was
hopping
great.
in here. He doing full circle. I think he was in here in the beginning.
What up,
We've
though?
been on here a little bit, not as long as
Yeah.
usual. But now, guys, that we've given you like 10 cases to go look at because we were trying to figure out exactly which one.
Right.
You guys have plenty of material to go check out. And
Plenty
if
of
you don't want to go
material.
watch one of those cases, Tay Biz has a ton of material you can go check out, especially on that Letcher case with the crazy shooting of the judge in chambers. Has a video camera in his chambers.
Yes.
Sheriff that worked with him in close capacity for some years, was also seemingly a friend, shoots him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna link if you want to
And
check
then
out
he
his
yelled
channel.
out, "They are trying to kidnap my family." That's a key piece. They are trying to kidnap my family. He did yell that out.
Yep.
So I recently went live on it on Wednesday, and if you want to replay, check it out. And thank you, Kat, for saying something about it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so the link I sent in the chat to Taybiz TV will take you to that particular stream. But of course, if you want to check out other content on other topics, you just hit the back button and you go to his channel and find something that tickles your fancy. So lots of good commentary there. More stuff on not so much the Jay-Z because that's new. Like a lot of that's new, but some of the Diddy stuff, the legal motions, as well as what's going on in the public. And I love a lot of your reactions to, when you reacted to the Shannon Sharp thing. That was one of the funniest streams I've ever watched in my life.
The Lululemon.
That was one of the funniest.
Man. Oh, but listen. When the man came out with the Lululemon, I'm like, okay, here we go. The man he's doing the most right now. He's doing the most. That was a fun live.
That was a
fun live. That was a fun one.
And Neek says, can we increase the number of likes? Well, on your way out, you guys, if you want to hit that like button, that'd be awesome. Good to see you, Neek. Thank you for the kind reminder.
For sure.
And I love this here. Abundance and Clarity says, I know tonight was a tough conversation, but thank all of you for being here. All opinions are welcome. Heck yeah. And I'm not the best with panel streams. Having one person, and I don't know if there's like a delay on my microphone, it's a little nerve-wracking to not try to overtalk somebody, not speak, doing that weird, like, can you hear me now type thing, because there's a little bit of latency, even though I use like direct hardwired headphones instead of my wireless. In the future, though, I would love to have like a panel conversation, right? In a way where I feel like I'd be a good MC and be able to like rotate between 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So Taybiz, you're helping me build a skill set here. So I appreciate your company and helping me get to that level.
Iron sharpen iron, right?
Heck yeah. And Let's Go's over there subbing to Taybiz. I would love guys on StreamYard. We're syndicating this stream. So if you were to go over to Taybiz right now, you could talk to us from this link. We'll call it the multiverse.
The multiverse.
If you were to go to this link I'm dropping in the chat right now, you could go into Taybiz's iteration of this exact stream, and on StreamYard it shows me that there's a comment coming through with a like paperclip link icon.
Yeah.
So Let's Go says, I'm here from Kat's channel. Happy to find your channel sub.
I appreciate it. Let's go.
From this chat, subbed right now over on Taybiz.
I appreciate it. Let's go. Let's go. I like that.
Any final words?
No,
I'm good. Coming up?
Passion versus compassion. Oh, we're definitely going to be doing some more Letcher County stuff for sure. And I'm going to be putting a video together. I got a few things brewing though. Let me see, because I got some things cooking up here.
Well, you're real close to 2,000 subscribers. So
I kind of wanted to go. Yeah, I kind of wanted to go over the Fonnie Willis recently had an interview, and I kind of wanted to go over that as well. And also this class action suit that Shannon did against Fulton County. I'm definitely going to be getting into that as well. So we're going to be getting into some things, man. Definitely.
Well, hold on. Don't jump away. Big thank you, Survivor Speaks, dropping a 20. A 25. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Survivor Speaks.
Awesome, Survivor Speaks.
But I see your name here, so you can't jump out of here quite yet. But Survivor Speaks says, Kat, great time as always. Tabiz, loved your insight. Me too. Have to connect. And I agree. And I have you in mind when I said I want to do like a bigger panel stream. I just gotta like be ready to wrangle people in, right? We all talk, we're all talkers. But having 3, 4 people, 5 people to rein in, I just got to do it. I got to see how it goes. But Survivor Speaks, you will be one of the panelists invited, whatever the topic.
Awesome.
She says, my hubby is on a boys trip in Florida and had the system delivered I wanted since having so many issues with my laptop. Going live to test this out a little. Good. Awesome. Oh my God. Okay. That's the other hurdle, you guys. I encourage everyone, if anyone in the chat is thinking about starting a channel and doing it, we all have weird tech issues when we are getting started. So Survivor Speaks is jumping that hurdle now. This is awesome news. I'm so glad to hear it.
Yeah,
so this is great news.
Congratulations on that.
Make sure you guys, I feel like by now Survivor Speaks has a channel. If you are not already subscribed, here is the link in the chat to Survivor Speaks. But this is super awesome. I'm really excited to see you get over that tech hurdle, because we all go through the icky getting something started. You got to get there.
There's another thing.
You've always been smooth. I don't know, but you said you used to do.
What's that?
Your channel that you have now, you've done like a collaborative thing before the channel you have now, right, Tabiz?
Yeah. So the channel that I had, that I still have, is with my friends, my boys from Detroit, the Mailroom Network. And we started off with a show called the Mailroom Show. We would get on every Sunday at 5:30, and we would talk about relationships and society and things of that nature. Okay, from the multiverse. All right.
Yeah, Melorina, and you guys can't see it on the screen, but Melorina says hello from the multiverse.
Melorina,
we can see the clip mark link here in the back end of StreamYard, so we know that you went over to Tabiz's stream to say hi to us over there from that chat. That's what's up.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Love that.
Yeah, but the Mailroom Network and the Mailroom Show every week, and then we added some other shows to the network, like Coffee and Conversation on Saturday mornings. That's the show that I host, and then we would have like the Mailroom Reacts, where our subscribers or viewers would send us emails or like videos they wanted us to react to. We just give raw reaction to it and stuff like that. So that's a fun channel. I like doing that, because first I like doing it with my fellas, JB and Rollo. Yeah, and then we get a chance to put our insight out there too. And it's not one of those. A lot of times, these podcasts, man, rub people the wrong way, because everybody like, oh, Mailroom Network, y'all talking about bashing women? Like, no. I love women. You know what I'm saying? We're not bashing anybody, but we're definitely going to bring out some bullet points about what's going on in society, how it's impacting our relationships, and just giving out insight on it. You know what I'm saying? Being as objective as possible. So
there's a certain genre of podcasts that do the shock value takes as well, right? So sometimes if you steer into a podcast that's talking about a topic that those shock bait types of channels would talk about, and I get it, everyone like people like certain like salacious, juicy, messy reality TV. I'm not judging. But I'm just saying, like, there's ways you can talk about same topics that somebody else might be talking about, but do it in a different way.
Different way, just present it and package it in a different light. That's all. And so with that channel, it's dope, And so what I did was, like, this year, actually, this early, like over the summer, there are things that I want to talk. There are things that I would like to talk about that maybe the guys may not are hip to, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not like me. They don't cover stories, they don't cover cases, they don't do all that kind of stuff a lot, which is fine.
A raw take. You can get a raw take.
and that's fine. So it's like, okay, I want to keep the integrity of the channel that we all agree to. I want to keep that integrity. And if I want to do my own, if I want to talk about my own thing, I'm like, you know what? I do have a YouTube channel. I just never did anything with it. I had like 70-something subscribers, and I'm like, all I have up there is a playlist. I don't have no videos, and you know what I'm saying? All I got is a playlist of a bunch of music, because I love music. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about something. I'm going to talk about, first I started talking about sports. Start talking about the NFL because I love football.
I know your next topic.
Oh,
I think
love
Survivor
football.
Speaks and OB well, and I think you should talk more about football too. But Survivor Speaks and OB, I think they're co-signing, and I'm going to co-sign it too, saying, Tay, we need to have that Jag convo. Things went left for her real bad. And Obi says, you know, I want to hear what's up with that with Jaguar.
Man, listen, that's another thing I'm going to. Oh my God, see, they taking the words. I'm Obi, and I appreciate it. And who else was the other person? Who was the
Survivor
other person?
Speaks. Sorry, that was Survivor Speaks as well. I just toggled it away really quickly to pull up
got
Obi's.
you. Okay, but yeah, the Jaguar. Oh man, she's been caught saying misspeaking. We're gonna say she misspoke, you know, on a couple of things.
Well, you got to qualify when you're playing a clip. You got to explain that you're stopping and pausing, because she might say that it's an edited clip because you're pausing.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? So you got to clarify everything. Yes, absolutely. So, you know, because you got to go all the way down to the bloody details with her, apparently. But
yeah, so that's you got two people here waiting. I'm a third. I will be in the chat for that one, of course.
I'm actually piecing it together too, because I got some information that I'm gathering together, and we're gonna definitely talk about Jaguar, because again, there's a few things that there was one particular podcast that she was on, or channel she was on, and she was emphatic about an accusation that happened to her, and then turn around on a different platform and say, "Oh, I never said that." And I'm like, I literally just saw you say say this over here, and now you're not. And again, this is why on the live when we talked about Jag the last time, this is the reason why I say it's hard for me to take her seriously. I can't. I want to, but it's like, dude, when you do things like that, you go left.
Yeah. Yep.
Too far left, and I just can't go over there with you. I'm not going over there with you. But that's the kind of stuff I like to talk about on my channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I started off with football, and then the next video I dropped was about Woody when his friend Tay had got shot.
Oh my gosh, another Tay. You're another Tay. No.
Right. And I was like, man, so I just threw it out there, like, you know, I'm gonna just go ahead and do the video and put my comments on it or whatever. And that was my first big video. It was like 18,000 views or something like that, some crazy number like that. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that's always crazy.
People enjoyed it, you know. And then all of a sudden, you know, working on my thumbnails and stuff like that. And then what really blew my channel up in a small sense is the fact that I dropped the Woody Speaks video that had like almost 70,000 views on it. And so then after that, I'm like, you know what? I just, again, passion, you know, and I just kept working at it and stuff like that. And I just enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And I hate that I got sick was it about a month ago or something like that? I got sick a little bit, and I couldn't do anything for like a couple of weeks.
And that's crazy. When everything started going crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey man, I'm missing out.
It's crazy. I think, I think a lot of, and you do a great job. So I'm not trying to assume flaws in the past that I'm not aware of, but I assume when you were starting, you know, these shows that people don't see on your channel that you're doing now, where you're actively creating new content. You have probably had a learning curve that you went through. So if they tune into your channel and they're like, his microphone sounds so good, he's got it all together, he's got his overlay put together. You don't just get there overnight. So Survivor Speaks. She's doing her YouTube journey. She just hit 3K. So she's in the 3,000 club.
That's good.
If you guys have thoughts, conversations, of course, if you guys start a channel in the chat, I'll be here to support you, shout you out. You see me mess up on stream all the time. Yesterday, I'm like reading a document. You're like, everyone's like, Kat, you didn't change the screen. I'm like on the old screen still. It's not a big deal. It feels like a big deal in the moment, but don't let something like that stop you from what you're doing. I'm loving, guys, and our end. I see Kate Grammer. I see M. Stewart. Tons of little paper clips here. Everyone going over to the multiverse, which is awesome.
Awesome.
And I will see you guys that hang out in Tay-Biz's chat the next time he does a live. I'll see you over there.
For sure.
We're going to wind this down. If you guys are familiar with Law and Lumber and Ian Runkle of the Bailey, they're currently live doing their Friday Night Frenzy. They do it every Friday night. Different big topics in law. It looks like they have like Sarah Boone and some other big cases on their thumbnail. That's going to redirect over there. So law, that conversation will continue over there. Two great guys, great chat over there. Come hang out. If not, see you guys next time You know,
All
me,
right.
Tay Biz, Survivor Speaks is live. Come hang out with us. You guys all
For
have a good
sure.
one.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye.